you will never be satisfied with your life. And it's the truth. Let me explain. Please don't click off. Please. I sound like one of those unskippable YouTube ads where it's like 5 seconds and they're like, don't click skip if you want knowledge and money worth your time. Anyways, first, let's make some tea. That's better. Now, where were we? Yeah. We always have this notion that grass is greener on the other side. Well, it's so dumb, and yeah, of course grass is not greener on the other side, but if you think about it, we're always comparing, whether it's with ourselves and where we want to be in the future, or us with like our peers and other jobs. But you have to think about how sometimes grass is greener on the side that you water it on, Yeah, I think we create too many arbitrary timelines on like when or if we accomplish something, then we'll be happy, which is kind of backwards or weird if you think about it. Let me explain. But while it is kind of weird, it does kind of make sense. We're kind of spoon-fed this mechanism or this kind of way of life on work, improvement, which does lead us to greater heights, but, at what cost? And I think one saying that really kind of wraps everything together is this idea of like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And why should we be in a position that we're near death in the first place and we're struggling only for this pursuit of improvement when there isn't an end goal or view in mind, or when there isn't this end goal or height or view that we're trying to accomplish in mind? And it implies that we're always supposed to be struggling, which, is kind of weird. No. And I think, one interesting idea is the idea of hedonic adaptation. Big word, I know. But it's this idea that no matter how amazing or how terrible something is, our happiness and level of comfort always kind of, comes back to the same middle point eventually. And the way I think I found it online is it's like a stable level of happiness that we eventually return to. And it's related to this idea that's helped me stay grounded in that, nothing is ever as terrible or as good as it seems, which, might sound a bit depressing at first, but she gives us hope that, everything will be okay. And while we can't rely on external circumstances or the world to satisfy us, ultimately, it's really, at the end of the day, kind of up to us. Now, you might ask, why is this important? Why should I listen to you ramble? Well, it has to do with your love life and why you're single. Now, let me preface, do not go into things blind, relationships-wise, and have no thought in it. But I will say, oftentimes, as I read in the wonderful book, How to Not Die Alone by Logan Ury, he mentions that there's a difference between maximizers and satisfiers, and that we should never let perfect be the enemy of great, or greatness, Maximizers will always look for the best choice, the best partner and will be the type of person who will scroll on Netflix for 30 minutes looking for the perfect show, only for when they are watching the show to doubt, maybe this isn't the perfect one and maybe I'm not very satisfied watching in the first place. And they're the type of people to look at the opportunity cost and just let that get in the way of being satisfied or enjoying life. While on the other hand, satisfiers, while they do have high standards, they are also, as the word implies, satisfied. And they don't look back, they don't look externally for other choices or what could have been, but are satisfied with their choice, which I think is pretty swag. And maybe a harsh, cold reality, but you'll never find the perfect relationship. but it's something that we have to work towards or build towards ourselves. And while you might find someone that's compatible, it's up to us to fill in that last 25% in reaching that 100% and being compatible and, in a sense, satisfied. And so that's how this idea of relationships and why you're single is how it relates to this whole idea of satisfaction in life. And at the end of the day, it's just us, and it's up to us ourselves to determine and define how satisfied we are. While on one hand, it's important to recognize that external things and our actions, that it is important to recognize that we are defined by things that may happen to us. It is important to recognize that we are defined by our actions, but it is also important to recognize that we are also defined by our responses to said things and to other actions that are implied upon us. So at the end of the day, another thing is, don't look too far ahead. Don't go in blind, but there's no point in focusing on only goals and relying on those to fill that void in your heart or being satisfied with life. Ian LeVincent, I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly, had a great quote where there are curves in the road because if you were shown how long of a stretch you actually have left, you'd never drive yourself there. And these curves only show a little bit of a road at a time, so you too can focus on that piece, which is so great. You'll only be satisfied when you're at your best self. And your best self isn't defined by an accomplishment or goal or maybe landing a job, but it's defined by you putting your best foot forward every day. And maybe even if you're improving at 1% every day, that's still improvement. And just putting your best foot out there is what's really important. So at the end of the day, try to live with gratitude. And that's how we're able to live. And that's how we're able to live rich. So while grass isn't greener on the other side, while grass isn't green by the mountain view at the top, it is up to us to water our own grass. To not look externally, but to do what we can to put our best version of ourselves out there. And, sometimes take a second to appreciate how green your own grass is and all the hard work you've done. Because us being satisfied isn't defined by us climbing and climbing and climbing, hoping that the next mountain that we climb will be the thing that defines and fills our heart, but it's up to us to enjoy the journey and enjoy the climb in the first place. So at the end of the day, I'm proud of you. See you around. Bye-bye.